Ladies and gentlemen, the Navy said they are fighting a losing battle with COVID. And I don't know how they do it. They're out in the ocean. It's not like they can take these sailors that are sick to the hospital. They are literally stuck on the ship. I can see how this can be a bad situation and how it can spread very easily on a naval ship. So this came out on Slate, April 10th, 2020. The Navy is losing its fight against the coronavirus. While the rest of the country has gone to war with the coronavirus, the sailors of the USS Roosevelt have also gone to war with their bosses as the COVID-19 outbreak spreads rapidly across the warship. Captain Brett Crozier desperately tried to get his sailors off board and treated. When his efforts were initially stymied, he sent an angry letter to Navy brass, which then was seen public. Navy leadership publicly imploded, and Crozier was relieved of duty. To the ire of his sailors, now Crozier, nearly 300 of the Roosevelt's shipmates have tested positive for the virus. It's a story worth paying attention to, not only because it's a stark example of the massive gulf between civilian and government leadership in the midst of the pandemic, but also because it shows that military might is not enough to deal with this new global battle. On Thursday, the episode of What Next, I spoke with Adam Weinstein, the national security editor at the New Republic, about the outbreak on the Roosevelt and the myriad ways the virus is afflicting the Navy and the military. Our conversation has been edited and condensed for clarity. All right. So, all right. When you really think about this, how do sailors do social distancing on a naval ship when their sleeping quarters are very close and many of them are sharing rooms with each other? The restrooms and the showers, they don't, it's not like there's individual of those things. A lot of times it's group showers. So I don't know how they do it. I just think this is really a terrible situation for them. You would think they would be able to dock somewhere and maybe get the sick sailors off of the ship, but apparently that doesn't seem to be the case at all. There's just no place on a ship where privacy and sanitation are really at a premium. And that's the part of the life that you sign up for. That's why Crozier in his letter made a really salient point, which is, with the exception of a handful of senior officers, staterooms like his own, nothing on a naval ship is appropriate for quarantine or isolation. And this is regarding the Roosevelt, which is the size of 3.5 football fields and carry up to 5,500 sailors, airmen, and Marines. It's a massive, massive ship. It's easy to get lost, but it's very hard to find privacy in. Most of the sailors were given some form of liberty. They stayed in hotels, they circulated and visited sites, Towards the end of the port call, they learned that two British tourists at one of their hotels tested positive for COVID-19. The decision was made then to test with temperature checks until they could get more testing. All the sailors at that point tested negative. It was only when they got back underway that they started seeing illnesses. On March 22nd, the first sailor was diagnosed with COVID-19. It spread very quickly from there in 3 days. By the time the ship docked in Guam on March 27th, the orders were stay on the ship. We'll figure it out. He did a few things before he wrote the letter. So this is Crozier, the one that they fired. That's what's interesting about this because at one point, Thomas Maudsley, the now former Navy secretary, had basically said, well, Crozier went outside of the chain of command. That's not entirely true because within a few days of porting in Guam, Crozier was already in communication with Maudsley, chief of staff, and his boss. Crozier said, "Get 90% of the crew off so that we can stop the contagion." 90% of the crew had it? Damn. Oh my God, that's almost everybody on there. 90% of the crew, he said, get them off so they can stop the contagion and test everybody. And it seemed his superiors favored less ambitious efforts. At that point, Crozier shout out his okay, so that's when he wrote his 4-page memo. And wow. So he wrote this letter. I don't see how the letter, well, I guess it depends on the tone of the letter, but it just seems like, is it me or does it seem like people that are whistleblowers always end up, getting threatened or fired or, just like Li Wenliang when he was trying to tell the Chinese government about them getting sick over there. They gave him a hard time too. You know, I guess some people just can't handle certain things and they just don't want to hear it. But look at how critical of a situation this was. What Crozier posed to his superiors is that when there's no violent threat on the horizon, how much of this lethal readiness is too much. He made his point. We can fight if you need us to, even with the virus raging, because that's what we do. But we're not at war with anybody right now. So there's no reason for my sailors to die. So he was just trying to, this seems to me, he was just trying to save the sailors that were on there that were infected, which was most of the ship. Damn. These folks don't like you to do or say nothing. I guess you're supposed to be quiet and see it's a double-edged sword. If he was quiet and didn't say anything and it leaked out that all those sailors were sick, they would have probably tried to nail him for that too. So I guess this was a no-win situation. But y'all, it's really bad when your military is getting knocked down by this virus, you know? But, I can see how it would be more difficult for those on a Navy ship out of all of the branches of military because, it's not like they can leave and go to a doctor's appointment or try to do social distancing. How can you do that on a warship? So I do have to agree with him. The only thing left is you got to dock somewhere and get all of those people off of the ship. And then the ship got to be sanitized. And wow, wow. This was done by one virus, y'all. One virus. And it doesn't talk about any other naval ships, just the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Just that ship for now. But y'all, please tell me what you think. The Navy sure feels like they're losing this battle against the virus. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.